I'm Rainy with the 7U Ranch. We're going to make mozzarella today. It's a 30-minute recipe and it's really very simple. If any of you have ever tried some of the 24-hour mozzarella recipes, they can be kind of frustrating. They're inconsistent and you have to monitor the acidity to make sure it's correct for stretching, or it just won't turn out right and it won't stretch. So this is a pretty simple one and it's pretty consistent in the results. So I just want to take you through it and show you what we're going to do. We're going to start with a gallon of raw milk and we're going to skim the cream off first. And the reason I do that is because you can leave the cream on, but most of it will end up separating out into the whey, and what's left will leave you with a really greasy cheese. Okay, I've skimmed the milk now and I put the cream in the fridge, and at this point you can take 2 stainless steel bowls and put cold water in them. Place one in the freezer and one in the refrigerator, and we'll be using those later, so I'll tell you what we're going to do then. Right now I have one cup of cool water. I'm going to take citric acid, which you can get at the most health food stores. If you can't find it, contact me. And we're going to put a teaspoon and a quarter of citric acid. And that's going to raise the acidity and help it so it can stretch properly. So let me put my spoon in. And you want that to really dissolve in the water, or so that it doesn't make curdles. It doesn't make the milk curdle. And so I'm going to pour that first into my stainless steel pot, and then I'm going to pour the milk in, and it will just stir up really easily. Now we're going to take the milk and just pour that in and stir it really well. So again, so it does not curdle, and the citric acid. You pour it in really fast, it's kind of messy. And then let's take the other one and do the same thing. Just get it really stirred up well. And I just keep stirring that a little while till I feel like it's really good. Okay, we just got it heated to 88 degrees, and just remember that's not very hot, so it doesn't take very long to get there. You really want to watch it. Don't walk away. I've done that before and it's ruined that. So I just use a thermometer that reaches deep into the pot, and it's a good one. It goes pretty low temperatures and goes up to 550. Anyway, so now I'm just going to add, I have already added, I use a liquid rennet. You can use a quarter of a tablet, or at this point use a quarter teaspoon of rennet. I like vegetable rennet. Some people don't use vegetable rennet, they use animal rennet. Vegetable rennet works great, and that's the one that I have. So I've already added it to a quarter cup of cold water and stirred it in really good so that it's thoroughly mixed. So I'm just going to stir that in. And you want to mix it really fast and really good, or it's not going to set up properly. So I'm going to do a close-up after this and show you what it looks like. After about 10 minutes, you're going to check your curd, and I'll just show you what that's going to look like. You're just going to push it in there with a knife and pull it up. It should be like that, and nice and thick. If it's too runny, then it's going to, and the whey has a lot of milk in it, it's not set up enough, and you can just wait a few more minutes, but it should take around 10 minutes. So we're going to cut the curd, and that's going to be 1 inch. You're going to cut 1-inch slices, and then you need a knife that will reach all the way to the bottom. So I'll show you how that works if I can get this right. You want to reach all the way to the bottom, come across. Doesn't have to be perfect. I'm not very good at cutting a straight line. Then go across the opposite direction That's a nice stiff curd there, so like that. Then you're going to take and go at an angle and just cut at an angle. And then do that the opposite direction. And you'll start to see some whey separating then. That's what's supposed to happen. So we'll take our wooden spoon again and just kind of lift. You don't want to stir it too much because you don't want to blend it together, but I like to kind of pull up from the bottom and just see if I have any big chunks like these here. So I'll pull those up and then I'll cut through. That's kind of what you want to do. And then we're going to heat that to 110 degrees and we'll come back once that's heated. I've slowly heated it to 110 degrees and you want to stir it while it's heating because you don't want it to get too warm on the bottom or it'll contract the whey out too fast and you'll have a drier mozzarella. So that's one of the things you want to watch for. But you can see the curds, the whey just keeps contracting out of it. You can now pour off your whey and it's really bright yellow, you'll notice. And you're not going to get it all. That's okay in this type of cheese. You're not pressing it or anything. In fact, it'll be too dry if you do that. So just pour that whey off. And you can use this. I use it in soups. I use it for making bread. It makes a nice tender dough. What else? My kids used to make a whey lemonade. Sounds kind of weird, but it's better with the yogurt whey because it's sour already. So it complements the lemons. But you can kind of see it's still contracting. It'll just still push it out. You want to get most of that and you're going to have a little bit of whey come out on your cutting board. I'm just going to I have cut my cubes, or my curds into 1-inch cubes, and that just allows it to soften up and melt for stretching. You can leave your cheese like this if you want to leave it raw, because technically it's not going to be raw once it's heated to these temperatures in the stretching process. So you can keep it and just soak it in some people form a ball, leave it in a ball and put it in a brine, saltwater brine or herbs, and soak it for 24 hours or so. And you can do that or just season it fresh and crumble it. But we're going to stretch it today. This is a fun process, especially if you have kids. I enjoy doing that. The kids really enjoyed it when they were younger, and they still really like making mozzarella. It's just a fun cheese to make. So we're going to mix sea salt. I use about a quart of water. A lot of people use a lot more, but I just find you have to use more salt and it wastes your sea salt. You're going to heat it to 185 degrees, and then we're going to add our cheese curds. So it's not quite boiling. If you get it too hot, they will push out too much of the whey, and it just won't be a good texture. It'll be like you melted cheese and cooled it. So I'm just going to break those curds up in my salt water that I heated, and I put about a quart of water and about 4 tablespoons of sea salt. That sounds like a lot, but it's really not going to absorb much of it. It'll stay in the water. So you do want to get it salty enough if you want yours flavored that way. So then you're going to just kind of lightly stir it with your spoon or fork and let them sit for about a minute, or actually I do about 30 seconds. And they'll start to soften. Don't forget about them at this point. So I'm just going to start to pull them up, and you can see they're beginning to stretch. And so they're not quite ready. I'll leave them in there a couple more seconds. And I like this fork because it just kind of pushes into them, into the curd, and lets me get a hold of it. But you want to pick it up and just let it kind of stretch like this. It just allows that salt water to flavor it. I'm going to keep doing that until it's no longer any cubes left in the water and I feel like this is stretched good and flavored. So that's not ready yet. We'll come back once I've done that. It should just be a couple minutes of stretching if you're doing this at home. I have finished stretching our cheese, and at the beginning I talked to you about putting a bowl of cold water in your freezer and in your fridge, one in your fridge. So now we're finished, and you can take and form your stretched cheese. It's going to be hot, but take that, and I just kind of fold it into a ball, and it will go. You can kind of let some of the water drip out, but you don't want to squeeze too much. It'll be really dry. So you first go into the cold water with it. You can actually braid it or do anything fancy there if you want, but afterwards it'll go into the cold water and sit for about 5 minutes, and then it's going to go into your bowl of water that was in the freezer, and it'll sit there for 15. That cooling process helps the texture also. From there, just pull it out and put it in your fridge, and once it cools really well, it's ready to use. We like to make pizza with it or anything, but pizza is one of our favorites. So thanks for joining me, and if you have any questions, I'm going to put up on our blog here, I'm going to put up a recipe that you can print out, and if you have any questions, just